Hello everyone. This is a bit of an improvisational video because today we had some very great news from the Laravel ecosystem, and that is this right here. Taylor Otwell just dropped the Livewire and Alpine stack for the Laravel Bootcamp, and that is awesome. Previously, you only had like React and Vue, but now you have Livewire. So I thought, why not just hit record and we can just follow along together. So let's do that. I have the page right here. If you don't know it, you just have to go to bootcamp.laravel.com and then head over to build chirper with Livewire. And these are the instructions right here. So let's follow along. Let's create a new project. I have the Laravel. You can do this with Composer, but I prefer to do it with the Laravel installer. So that's what I'm going to do here. So I'm going to say Laravel new chirper. The good thing about doing it with the Laravel installer is that you get this amazing experience with Laravel prompts where you get to choose your starter kit. In this case, we're going to choose Laravel Breeze because that's where you can then choose your Livewire stack. Then you can choose to use either Blade, React with inertia, Vue with inertia, or API only. In this case, they are using the Blade stack because Livewire uses Blade components under the hood. So we're going to choose Blade for this case. And then, would you like dark mode support? Of course we do. PHP unit or pest? I mean, come on. Pest all the way. Would you like to initialize a Git repository? And that's it. And then the Laravel installer takes all of that input and creates your project for you. Interesting that it didn't ask me about the database. It usually does. Oh, here it is. Let's use SQLite for the database. When you do that, it goes into your .env file and does the database configuration for you. So let's give that a minute. And in the meantime, let's keep reading. So we create a project. We did that. We're going to do this in a moment just to serve our application with a simple local dev server. This is going to be done for us since we choose to do the installation with the Laravel installer. We are not going to use Docker in this case, but if you wanted to, this is how you do it. Let's see. Then when you use Docker or Laravel Sail, actually, you just go into your folder and then use vendor bin sail up. And you can create shell aliases for that. And that's what I like to do because otherwise you'll be typing vendor bin sail over and over again. And in fact, if you want to know how that looks like, I use omycsh for my terminal. So that means that I have a .cshRC file. So if we do code.cshRC, and here is where you define all of your aliases for your shell. Mine are at the bottom, and I have a few. I have sail. I have one for pest as well, so that I have to just type pest, and one for PHP stan. So let me exit out of this, go back to the terminal, and cd into chirper. I'm going to clear my screen, and PHP artisan serve. And with that, we should have a server running. There you go. I'm going to zoom in on this one a little bit. That's too much. Maybe, yeah, just like that. Okay. And now we have to install Laravel Breeze. And they're saying to Composer require Laravel Breeze, but this should have already been done by the Laravel installer, so we don't have to require the package. All we need to do is do PHP artisan breeze install. And judging by the tweet, I don't even have to type anything. And then breeze install is going to ask me which stack do I want. So I expect that to happen. So let's do cd into chirper again. And then PHP artisan breeze install. And there you have it. Livewire with Alpine. Perfect combination. So let's choose that. Would you like dark mode support? Yes, I said I did. And pest for the framework. Now, I'm guessing he's asking again because all of the pest tests are going to be tailored to Livewire, which is awesome. Okay, some more installations requiring a bunch of packages. That's great. So all of that is taken care of. What else? PHP Artisan pre-install Blade. We already did that. PHP Artisan migrate for our migrations. So PHP Artisan migrate. And since I haven't created a database file, yes, I would like to create one. Perfect. So we have database, we have project, we have Livewire. I'm going to clear this out and see what else do we want to do. Installing Livewire, that's done. Ooh, Livewire Bolt. Was that installed with the command we just did? Let me double check. So let's check composer.json just to make sure. Yep, there it is. Livewire Bolt. So that's done. Perfect. But I do need to run PHP Artisan Vault install. PHP Artisan Vault install. We have a new Vault service provider and some scaffolding done for us. Awesome. Then include the Livewire JavaScript and CSS assets into your application's main blade layout. Do we have that layout? Should be in resources, views, layouts. Yes, we do have the app layout, and it is asking us to add the Livewire styles in the head section. So let's copy this and let's add it just before the vid command, the vid directive here. There you go. And also the Livewire scripts just before the end body tag right here. Next, since Livewire includes Alpine.js, by default, we can remove the Alpine initialization from our application. Of course, we need to open app.js then and remove these 3 lines from here. So app.js and remove Alpine completely. Now we just need to start Vite in development server. So npm run Vite, npm run dev. Let's do that. We can do it here. But instead of npm, let's use bun because why the hell not, right? Bun run dev. Instant. I need another terminal probably, but I'll do it just in VS Code. Let's see what is next. If you refresh your new Laravel application in the browser, you should see a new register link. So if we click register now, we have our registration page with beautiful dark mode colors. So let's, what happens if I try to register now? So Arturo at email.com. Password would be password. And let's register. And we are logged in. All right. So we have a basic Breeze installation, and all of these is running with Livewire. What else? We're not staying here. This is just the beginning. So continue to start creating chirps. Models, migrations, and controllers. Let's move into models. I'm not going to be reading too much. Well, that's documentation for models. I don't need that. So apparently we need a new model called chirp, and it's going to make a migration and a controller. So let's copy this command, head into VS Code, open a terminal. Let me close a few windows here. Let's open a terminal and paste that in here. PHP Artisan make model chirp with migration and controller. So we have a new chirp model, a new migration, and a new chirp controller.php. Yes, I have those 3. Now we need routing, and it's apparently we need to create a new route, taking me to the chirps controller class index method with middleware, with authentication, verification, and let's name that chirps. Okay, so let's do that. Pretty standard stuff. So let's open web.php. those routes are going to stay there. So let's first do route get, and this will be, what was the route that we are looking for? Chirps. Okay, chirps. This will take me to the chirp controller class, and this is an array index method, and on this we need authentication. So middleware, we need two actually. We need auth and verified, and the name of this route will be chirps. Okay, cool. So we have the use method here because I have VS Code, so this should be auto imported up here, and yeah, looks the same. Now we need the index method in the chirps controller, in the chirp controller, and all we are going to do is just say hello world. So let's go to chirp controller.php, create a new public function index. Do we need a request? No, just a response, because this will throw or return a response. And then what are we returning? Just response. Return response hello world. So with that, if I just go and navigate to chirps like this, there you go, hello chirp. The only thing is that we should put this inside the layout, but I'm guessing they're going to take me there in just a second. Now we move into Livewire. This is where I wanted to get. So in the chirp controller, instead of using response, we're going to use illuminate view, and then in the index method, instead of expecting a response in return, we're expecting a view. And then we are going to return that view, which is going to be called chirps, and pass in a few data, or an empty data array in this case. So let's make those changes in the chirp controller. So we are not going to need this. Instead, we are going to expect a view in return, illuminate view, and we're going to return a view called chirps. Was it chirps or chirp? Chirps. And let's pass an empty array for now. And I'm guessing they're going to tell me to create this view next. There you go. Now we need a new view called chirps.blade.php. And why don't we use the newly created artisan make view command in this case? So let's do php artisan make view chirps. So do that, and now we have resources views chirps.blade.php. So let's open that, and here we need to add the content for this view. So let's copy it from the documentation, all of this, copy that, and then place it here, replacing the div actually. So yeah, that's good. If you're wondering why is this working, it's because when we installed Breeze and we scaffolded the code, then we have in our app view components, we have this class here. And this is a Blade component with a class associated with it. And because it's app layout in Camel case, we can also use that as a Blade component with this dash notation. If we examine that app layout.php, all we have is a render method, and that is rendering the layouts.app.blade.php. So let's save this. And now we need to create this component. So let's keep reading. So next, let's create the Livewire component to render the form. And they give us the option to use either functional or class-based. I'm going to go with functional, as in functional with Vault. So let's copy this command. And back in VS Code, let's open the terminal again and paste it here. And that creates a new file inside Livewire chirps create.blade.php, which is this one right here. And all we have is the Livewire Vault state function already imported and just an empty template. All right, let's see what else. So we need to add the contents of this component. We need to set the state for message as an empty string first. So let's do that up here. State. And this takes in an array. Message. Empty string. And in the interest of time, let's just copy this whole form, which is nothing new. Copy this and paste it in here. So all we have here is a form with a wire submit to a store function, and then a text area that is wire modeled to the message variable that we just created here with state. And then one blade component for the error message and another one for the primary button. Let's save that. And apparently, if we go back to the browser and refresh, we should be able to see this. And there you go. Now we have a form with a text area and a button. Okay, let's keep going. So if your screenshot doesn't look quite like the above, you may need to stop and start the Vite development server. Yeah, that has happened to me sometimes when the new classes that you add to a view doesn't reflect. You may need to go in and kill the Vite dev server and start it again. But apparently that wasn't a problem for me. Okay, navigation menu. Let's take a moment to add a link to the navigation. So we need to add this link to the navigation layout, which is in resources, views, layouts, navigation.blade.php. So let's copy this and let's go to resources, views, layouts, navigation.blade.php. And let's look for the links, which should be where? Oh, right here. Next to dashboard, we're going to paste that here. And all this is doing is just taking us to the chirps route that we named and making sure that if we are in that route, that the current item is active. Okay, let's save that and check it in the browser. It's not showing up. Is this the right layout? Let me check. Resources, views, layouts, navigation. Yeah, that's the one. Wait, maybe I added it to the mobile version because there is another one down here. So that's probably it. If this one has a hidden in it, then it means that I can't see it just yet. So let's copy this one and let's find another dashboard link and put it right below it. And yeah, this one has a hidden. So that's the navigation item for when you're on mobile. Now let's look for another dashboard here. So let's paste that other one like so and save. And it should be showing up now. And it's not. Let me check the layout real quick. app.blade.php just to make sure that we are actually using the right navigation layout. Maybe because it's on Livewire, we're using a different one. And apparently we are here. Livewire layout navigation. So that should be in views components. Nope. Views Livewire. Layout navigation. There is another one here. Okay, so let's copy the first navigation item and paste it in this other layout right here. Let's see if that worked. And it did. So yeah, we were modifying the wrong layout file because we have the navigation in a Livewire component, not in a Blade component. It's interesting that the documentation does not state that. Well, this is pretty new. Probably this hasn't been updated for Livewire yet. So if you're having problems with the navigation link, that is the reason. The layout file is not in resources views layouts. It's actually in resources views Livewire layout. Okay, let's keep going. We need this other one too. So let's copy this one. And it should be down here somewhere. There you go. And that one should show up if we are in mobile. So let me open the developer console, switch to mobile view, and there it is, chirps. All right, so navigation links done. Now we move on to saving a chirp. Our form has been configured to the store method in the chirp button. Yeah. Let's add a store action to the chirp create because we are using functional, or we are actually Vault. We are going to create that method inside the chirps create.blade.php. First, we need to add the rules function, and this is for validation, and we use it here where we set rules for message as required, string, and a maximum length of 255. And store, it's just a function that validates with those rules and then saves the chirp with a relationship on the user model. Although I don't think we have that relationship yet, but I guess we are going to create it in just a second. So yeah, let's just code this out because I don't like copy pasting a lot. It feels like we don't really learn unless we actually do stuff. So let's first import the state and then, the rules, and then use that rule in the message variable. Okay, I'm going to clean this up a bit, and we need to be in this file right here. Okay, so let's import rules and then use it down here as rules. This takes in an array. Message will be required. And what was the other one? String and max 255. And now we need a store function with store equals function. And inside that function, we do validated with these validate. And I guess that will apply the rules to the input. So validated equals this validate. Doesn't go here. Okay. And then we do auth user chirps create with the validated input. And then we set this message to empty string. So auth user chirps create validated, and then this message equals empty string. And by doing this store variable is actually this store variable right here. So we call that as a function up here. That's really cool. Okay, let's see what else. So yeah, they are acknowledging the relationship chirps on the user. So now it's time to create that relationship, which is has many. So let's do that. Let's open the user model, navigate down, public function, chirps. This is a has many relationship. And here we use chirp class. Okay, perfect. And we have to take care of the mass assignment protection, easily just adding the protected fillable message. Interesting, I always use it as public. So let's copy this and put it up here. We have already fillable name, email, password, but this is on the user. We need to do it in the chirp model right here. Okay, what else? Updating the migration. All right, because we created the migration, but we never actually updated that. So we have a foreign ID on user ID, constrained, cascade on delete, and then a string column called message. Okay, simple stuff. So let's go back to VS Code. Let's open that migration, create chirps table. First, let's add the message column. And for the foreign ID, I actually prefer this notation. Table foreign ID for user class. And that way, the column name is actually guessed based on the table name. And I can still do cascade on delete, but I don't have to do the constraint because that is automatically done. So let's save this. And now we just need to run those migrations. So PHP artisan migrate. All right, perfect. What else? Each database migration will only be run once. Yeah, we know that. And if we use fresh, then it will redo all of the database tables. Testing it out. We are now ready to send a chirp using the form, but we are not going to show it apparently. Yeah, we're going to use artisan tinker just to see the chirp in the database. So yeah, let's go to the browser here and then say Livewire is awesome. and then chirp. Now let's go back to VS Code, open PHP Artisan Tinker, and do chirp all. Okay, you didn't like that, so app models chirp all. Okay, that was better. So yeah, we have a record in the database. So that's working. Perfect. Okay, I guess we are almost done with this chapter. And we are, yes. And now we move on to showing the records. So to do that, we are going to add another Livewire component, which is called chirps list right below the form. So let's add this line over there. This is in resources views chirps. So let me close a few windows here and exit Tinker. Okay, so now let's open resources, views, chirps, and let's add that line right here. There you go. And now I suppose we are going to create that component next. That's right. PHP artisan make vault chirps list. Let's copy this and put it in the terminal. Cool. Let me open that right away. Livewire chirps list.blade.php. And now this will create, yeah, I have it opened. And for the functionality, we are going to import the chirp model and create a new state for chirps where the value of that will be chirp with user latest get. So we're getting the latest record in the chirp model. And we're appending the user relationship, which doesn't exist yet, but I guess we'll create it in a moment. So yeah, let's do that. First of all, let's import the chirp model right here, and then state chirps, because we want to show a list of chirps. This is going to be a function, shorthand function, where we want to take the chirp model, sorry, with user latest get, like so, right? Some things are not working here. Is this, yeah, this is an array, of course. Is that good? Yeah, that's good. And yeah, chirps function chirp user latest get. And now we just need to put this in the view. So let's save that and see how it looks. Go back to the browser. Call to undefined relationship user, of course. I'm going to do this without looking and then look at it because it's just a relationship, right? So we open the chirp model and then add a public function user, right? Yeah, user. This is a belongs to user class. Okay, so with that, if I come back here and refresh, there you go. Oh, nice. So that whole thing that we just copied is just an icon here and the name and all of this. That's cool. So what happens if I create a new one? It's going to show up downstairs, right? Right here. Nope. Well, that's... Do I have to reload this thing? Oh, yeah. Okay, so it's not really live. I hope that's going to be fixed in a few steps down the road. Otherwise, being in Livewire will be like, that'll defeat the purpose of being in Livewire. Okay, so let's keep reading. So yeah, eager loading with latest to get the latest result. Yeah, we know all of that. Returning all chirps at once, one scale in production. Take a look at Laravel's powers. Yeah, okay, yeah, sure. If you want to do this the right way, you would use pagination. Finally, every time a new chirp is created, we need to update the list of chirps. And we can do this with Livewire events. All right. So this is in the create.blade.php. And every time we store one record, we dispatch an event called chirp created. All right, easy enough. I'm going to copy this line, go back to the create page, which is here, and the line goes here. Okay, cool. I'm guessing we now have to go and listen for this dispatch event in the list of chirps. And in the list of chirps, we are going to import the on function. And then instead of the state, well, we do need the state, but instead of doing it on inline like this, first we're going to get the chirps in a separate variable and then use the state with that, and on chirp created. Oh, that's why that's why we're using a separate variable, because this is a callback function. So every time we dispatch that event, we just call that function here, and we are both using that function, one for the state and one for the event. Interesting. So yeah, let's do that. This is in chirps list. So we need on, first of all, and then we need the chirps or get chirps. And we're going to grab that from here and put it in here. So the get chirps now is a callback function, and we can call that here, no parameters. And then let me separate this line. In here we use on, and the on function takes the closure. No, takes a closure, an array or a string of listeners. And it was like an array with the listener name or the event name and then the callback function. So like so, chirp created, and then call get chirps, right? Yeah, that looks good. Chirp created, not chirps. Yep, I did it right. Stop second guessing. So now connecting users to chirps. I already did that. Okay, now we should be able to see any new, there's an error here. Unexpected integer 1. Where is that? Oh, where is that 1 coming from? Oh, an associative array. And now let's create one more. Chirp, and there you have it. Perfect. Okay, cool. This is going great. What else? Now we move on to allowing editing of chirps. We need to update the list component to create a state for editing, and then a callback function for the edit, where we take in a chirp and we set the editing to the chirp we're receiving. Okay, let's do that. So in the list, we are going to set another state in here for editing, and that was null. Yeah. And then right below the chirp created event, I'm going to get rid of this comment here. So edit equals to shorthand function. This will take in a chirp model. And here we just set this editing to chirp. Okay, what else? We have a new directive here. Unless chirp created at equals to chirp updated at. Okay, so we are setting like a label to let us know that this chirp was edited when the created and updated at dates are not the same. So I'm going to copy this piece of code. This goes right below the created at. So that'll be right here. Okay. And now we have if chirp user is out user. So if we are the owner of this record, we add all of this content. And it looks like what we have here is just a drop down with, the drop down is just a component that was scaffolded for us. And it has a slot in it called trigger. And in it, we're going to put a button with an SVG icon. And that'll be probably the trigger to trigger the editing of this record. And then the content of that drop down is going to be a link with the label of edit. So let's take that, all of this, copy it, and put it in right below this div, right here. Okay, let's save, see if we have any errors. Okay, cool. So that gives us this little 3 dots, and we can only see this because we are the owners of all of these records. And that'll give us a drop down with the edit link. Okay, now let's see. At the bottom, we have this if chirp is editing, we have this chirps edit component. Okay, so we only see this component, the edit component, if we are editing the current chirp. That's what this is. It's just like an equal comparing this chirp, the one that we have in the iteration, because this is we're currently inside a for each. So if that iteration is the one that is being edited, then we show the edit component. Otherwise, we show the actual message. Okay, so let's copy this, and this is going to replace the paragraph or the message. Let's copy this, scroll down, and instead of just the message, we are going to either show the message or show the edit component if we are editing that current chirp. All right, let's save that, and that's going to give me an error because we don't have this component yet. And in fact, we can't even trigger this because if I click this link, yeah, now we see the error. Okay, let's keep going, creating the edit form. So we do another PHP artisan make volt chirps edit. Put this in the terminal, and we have a new component here. Let's see the contents of it. Okay, we have new things here. This mount thing, we've seen the rules and the state, but not the mount. So the state is just one chirp, one message. The rules is that the message is also required, string and max 225. And mount is a callback function that says the message to this chirp message. Okay, let's do those 3 first. So we need state, mount, and rules. For state, we are going to have chirp and message. And then for the rules, we can actually copy that from the create chirp. Copy this and paste it here. And now for the mount, this is a shorthand function. Does it take a chirp in as a parameter? No. So all we do is this message equals to this chirp message. All right. Now we have an update function, and that's going to do an authorize, just like the create, get the validated fields, and then this chirp update, and then dispatch a chirp updated method, or actually an event. So let's take care of this function. And in fact, since it's very similar to the create function, I'm going to take this, which is the one for the store, and then go back to edit, paste it here, and call it edit. Was it edit or update? Update. So yeah, we are doing validated. That's fine. There was one line before this. So authorize. This is just to make sure that only the user who is the owner of this record will be authorized to update it. So let's copy this line and put it right below, right above it. And instead of add user create, we do this chirp update, and we pass in the validated fields. We don't need this message here. And the dispatch is chirp updated. Let's double check. We authorize, we validate, we update, we dispatch. Authorize, validate, update, and dispatch. Perfect. Now we have a cancel function down here. Let me see what's that about. Cancel is just a shorthand function which dispatches a chirp edit cancel. All right. I'm just going to copy that. And we're missing a semicolon here. There you go. Okay, what else? The content of the component is just another form, wire submit to update, which is this right here. And it has a text area very similar to the create form. So yeah, let's copy this one, but it's very similar to the create component. Let's put it here. And just as a comparison, let's put it side by side. The only difference I think is, let me see, obviously the store method versus the update method. The text area is the same. And also the buttons here. We have a cancel button, which is wired to the cancel event or the cancel function, which dispatches a chirp edit cancel event, and then the save button. Down here, we have edits for the list.blade.php. So this function get chirps. So every time we call this function now, we are setting editing to no. Okay, so let's do that. Back to list, scroll up. So this turns into a proper function. And we set editing to null right before we return these chirps equals to chirp with user latest get. So this editing is null, and then return this chirps actually equals to chirp with user latest get. All right, what else? We have several more listeners. So we have the chirp created from before, which again responds to get chirps. We are now listening to the updated one, which once again calls get chirps so that we update the list. And then the chirp cancel edit event, which just sets the editing to no. All right. So let's set this into a new line like so. Now chirp updated calls get chirps. And what was the name of the event again? Edit.blade.php. Let me just copy this from here and put it here. And we just need to call a shorthand function that sets this editing equals no. Okay, now I think that's all for the edit page, and we move on to the authorization that we saw before, which is going to make use of a chirp policy. So we're going to make a new policy with this command. And that creates a new file in policies, chirp policy. And from here we can see we only need the update method. And we are going to return chirp user is user. So let's get rid of all of these other methods, the view, view any, create, all of that can be removed, as well as the delete, restore, and force delete. So return chirp user is user. And this validation happens in the edit page right here. Okay, let's keep reading. We just have to test it out. Okay, so let's go back to the browser. Let's refresh just in case. And now we can hit the edit button, and now it turns into the edit component. One more time. We can save and cancel. Let's try canceling, that goes back to just a message. And if we hit edit again and save, it is updated and we can see the edited label up here. Perfect. Now we move on to deleting chirps. And looks like we need to make some edits to the list.blade.php, allowing for the delete function, which just authorizes the current user to delete the chirp and then deletes it and then calls get chirps. Easy enough. So back to list. Let's create the delete method. This will take a chirp. And this is actually a proper function, not a shorthand function. So let's do this authorize delete. And I believe we have to pass, the current chirp. And if that passes, then we do chirp delete. And then we refresh the list of chirps. Okay, yeah. What else? Probably a delete button, yeah. In the same dropdown, I'm gonna copy this and put it just below the edit link. Right here. And all we're doing is just wiring the click of this link to the delete method, passing the chirp ID. And notice how, by the way, by type hinting the model in the delete function, Laravel is actually giving us the actual chirp model instance by just using the chirp ID. So yeah, let's save that. And since we know that we need to authorize the delete method, why don't we go ahead and do that right away? Let's go back to the policy. I'm going to do this without looking. Public function delete. We also get a user in this case and the chirp. And I'm guessing we have to do this the exact same thing. Just make sure that the chirp, the user, it's the owner of the chirp. Save that. And now let's compare the solution with the documentation. Oh, that's interesting. So instead of just copying the line like I did, they're actually calling the update authorization method right from the delete, which is actually a very smart way to prevent code repetition. So let's actually do that. Let's go back and let's just call this update, passing the user and the chirp. Okay, what else? We just need to test it out. So let's go back to the browser here and refresh. And now we have a delete link here. And since I'm the owner of the record, I can just hit delete and it's gone. Awesome. And we just have one more section, which is notifications and events. With this artisan command, we can create a new notification. So let's copy this. So that creates a new file in app notifications, new chirp. Let's see how that looks. App notifications, new chirp. And this is a class that extends notification, which is queuable. We have a constructor. We can notify via mail, and actually that's the default. And this will send a new email message. Well, it has two methods, one to mail and one to array. Okay, let's see what are we going to do with this. So in the notification class, the new chirp notification class, we are going to import chirp and illuminate support string. In the constructor, we are going to receive the chirp as a public variable. So this is class property promotion. And then down here, we're just making modifications to the mail. New chirp from this chirp username. That's the subject, the greeting as well. And then the message. And with the string class, we're just limiting that to 50 characters. And then an action to go to the chirper and the URL will be the home URL. Okay, let's start from the top. And in fact, let's just do public chirp, and that should import the model here. And let's also import illuminate support string or str. Now let's scroll down and let me just review. So we have subject, greeting, and line. So subject, new chirp from, and we are doing actually double quotes here. So let me copy this and put it here. Like so. In fact, let me just copy all these lines. So that goes here. So subject, greeting, line, and action. Subject, greeting, line, and action. And they left off the last line, so I'm going to do that as well. Okay, save that, and let's go back and keep reading. We could send a notification directly from the store method on our chirp controller class, but that adds more work to the controller, I agree. So instead, let's dispatch an event that we can listen for and process in a background queue to keep our application snappy. That's really smart. So let's create a new event with this PHP artisan command. Copy this and paste it in the terminal. And now in the chirp created event, we import the chirp, and in the construct, we just use class property promotion to put it in a public variable. And with just that, we have the model imported here, and we have the variable here. Okay, now to dispatch this event, we go to the chirp model, import the event, and just add that event into the protected dispatches events. So whenever we create a record, we're going to dispatch that event. Okay, let me close a few windows here, a few tabs, and then open. That was chirp, right? The chirp model. And then we have protected dispatches events. And for the created event, we're going to use the create, or actually chirp created class. Right? Let me check. So events, app events, chirp created up here. And up here is fine. And then protected dispatches events, protected dispatches events, created, chirp created class. Okay, cool. And now anytime a new chirp is created, the chirp created event will be dispatched. Now we need a listener. So we can create one with this artisan command. Copy this. That will give us a new file in app listeners send chirp created notification. And in that class, we are going to implement the should queue so that we can put this event on a separate queue, on a separate process, away from the main application process. And then down here on the handle, so that's an interesting for each. Oh, I get it. So we are just notifying everyone except the user who created the chirp. Got it. So let's copy this and let's put it down here. Do we have this new chirp class? I don't think we do. Actually, we do. That's the notification we created before. So let's see what else. We marked our listener with the should queue, so that should put the process in a queue. That's right. By default, the sync queue will be used to process jobs synchronously. However, you may configure the queue worker to process jobs in the background. Okay, that's fine. We also configure the listener. Okay. We've used database cursor to avoid loading every user into memory at once. That's actually very smart. So if you notice here, instead of doing get, which will load all of the users into an array or in a collection at once, instead we are doing that one by one, iterating over a cursor in the database, which is a lot better. And in a production application, you should add the ability for users to unsubscribe from, yeah, of course. And now we have to register the event listeners, and that's done in App Provider's Event Service Provider. We use the event and the listener in the listens. So let's do the listens first. So in the listen array, we use chirp created, which is the event. And then we pass the listener in this array. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's open Event Service Provider. And we already have an example here of how this is formatted, but let's replace registered with chirp created, and then send created notification. Send chirp created notification. So instead of this, send chirp created notifications. Save that. Make sure we imported both classes, and we did. All right, what else? We are going to test it out, and we are going to use a local email testing tools like MailPit or Hello. This would have been a lot easier if we were doing things inside Sail, because Laravel Sail already has the MailPit service already running in it. But let's see if we can do something else. Alternatively, you may configure Laravel to write mail to a log file. Yeah, I want to do that by editing the .env file, changing mail mailer to log. Okay, let's do that actually. So let's open the .env file and look for mail mailer and change this to log. By default, emails will be written to a log file located at storage logs laravel.log. Okay, let's give it a try. Let's go into the browser, but that's not gonna work because it's going to notify everyone but me. But let's see if the emails at least are sent out to other users, if there are any. So let's refresh, create a new chirp, and we failed one import in app listeners user not found. This is in the send chirp created notification right here. Save that. Let's try again. Let's try one more chirp. Other than that, that was a great bootcamp and a very good starting point for everyone who wants to start using Laravel, Livewire, and Alpine. So yeah, that's all for this video. If you found it helpful, don't forget to click the like button, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you in the next one.